welcome. Yeah, Stella's going to start recording. So this session will be recorded. We will cover quite a lot today. So you will have the recording, so don't worry too much. You can go back, you'll have that as a learning aid. So just, don't feel you have to take too many notes. We will be recording and giving that to you afterwards on Canvas. So welcome everyone to your formal induction for the Foundation Diploma. It's lovely to see you all today. Hi. Um, so what I'll do is I'll just quickly share my. Oh, I love now Zoom. You can do all these hearts. It's amazing. I'll just quickly share my screen and just show you the agenda for today. Um, so, as I said, welcome. Your cohort 39. So that's an amazing. We've been going for quite a while. So congratulations. So today we'll spend about half an hour just welcoming, going around introducing each other, getting to know each other a little better. Hopefully you're all aware, a really critical part of this course is building that connection, that network, and learning and sharing from each other. So we'll spend some time getting to know each other. I will go through an introduction to the IoIC and Solent University. As you know, this is a dual award. So you're all now members of the Institute of Internal Communication, IoIC. Some of you are members before, some of you weren't. So I'll talk a little bit about who we are, a bit about our history, and the benefits that you'll have from membership. And then talk a little bit about Solent University and what the partnership means. And then I'll talk a little bit about the systems you'll be using. So I'll briefly show you the Solent library, just so you're aware when you go on there, this is right, this looks right. I'll show you a little bit on our website where to find things that I mention. And I will also go on to Canvas just really briefly and give you a couple of top tips for Canvas, just so you all feel comfortable. And again, as I said, this is recorded, so you can always go back and check anything we've said. Then we'll have a well-deserved break. You'll have heard too much from me at that point, and you'll all need a coffee. We'll have a break, and then we'll pass over to Liz, your facilitator, who will take you through the actual foundation diploma, and the next steps for your. I know I don't like this word, but your foundation diploma journey. I'm going to use it. So there we go. So, getting to know each other. Welcome, everybody. So I won't keep this up for too long. I will stop sharing my screen so we can actually see each other. But I think it's the facilitator on our other diploma found this video, and I thought it was quite cute. So welcome. So let me just stop sharing a minute. So what we'll do is we'll go around. I know some of you were on the meet and greet on Monday. I did apologize. You have to repeat yourselves a little bit. But I think we'll just go around the room and we'll just introduce ourselves. So if you could say your name, your organization, your sector, where you're based, maybe something, I know you've had this on Canvas, but something you love about your job or communications, or maybe what you want to gain out of the diploma. Just so we start getting to know each other. Do share if you feel comfortable, if you've got any pets, children. Let's start getting to know each other. So myself, I'm Emily Darling. I'm Professional Development Manager at the IoIC. So I'm here to support the professional development of internal communicators. That's our members and with non-members, through things like our qualifications, absolutely pivotal, training, mentoring, lots of different things we do to support with professional development. So I will be here in the background to support. If anyone has any questions about your membership, the IoIC, want support with learning, do come to me. I'm really happy to help. But Stella, who you've all had a lot of communication with so far, will be your go-to from the IoIC. So I'll let Stella introduce herself next.
Thank you, Emily. So yes, my name is Stella. I'm the Professional Development Officer here at the IoIC. My role mainly is to support the delivery and quality of your qualification. So a lot of you would have heard a lot from me, and you will continue to throughout the course. On Canvas, there'll be key information, obviously your learning materials and announcements from me. And fun fact, I have a dog, border collie. He is about a year and a half now. Yeah, I'll
Thanks,
stop there.
Stella. Thank you. And I always do this. I say people share personal things. I never say anything. I'm based in South Wales, so I'm down near Hannah. I said last time when we on the meet and greet, I go outside my door and I can see the DVLA building. So I'm down in South Wales, and I have a little weird Jack Russell corgi dog who is currently under my desk. So little insight there. Liz, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. So I'm Liz Reynolds, your facilitator. I'm based in London, and I have no pets, but I was telling everybody I do have London parakeets outside. I don't know whether that counts. They make a lot of noise, as they are now. It's a beautiful sunny day, thank goodness. I have been in internal communications for a number of years and did the masters a few years ago and started to teach on this diploma, and now I'm facilitator. Delighted to be facilitator. It's such a pleasure to get insight into all the students' environments, internal comms environments. So I love learning from you all as well as facilitating the diploma. So I introduce the modules, and I will also deliver one of the modules, and I am on the assessing and teaching team. So you will hear a lot from me as well. Always here to support you all as well. But delighted to meet you.
Thanks, Liz. So rather than picking on someone from the cohort to go first, does anyone want to be brave and put their hand up and say they'll introduce themselves first?
I'll go first.
Oh, lovely. Please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anusha Khan. Hi, Stella. Thank you for making this happen. So I have joined this course like 2 days ago, and Stella's been ace as getting me here. So I live in the Middle East. I'm in Qatar, and I work for Qatar Airways. I'm originally from Pakistan, but I've been living here for over 10 years. And I've been in the media mostly. I've done integrated communication, and I've recently found the glory in internal comms. So like 2, 3 years here, and I absolutely loved it. It's so different to see multicultural environment. I wanted to learn more. I've been working in internal comms, but I wanted to have concrete information to back everything that I do. I'm a single mom. I have an 8-year-old who doesn't let me hear the end of anything. So you'll see this space tired multiple times a day. I'm actually at work at the moment. I just dropped in to quickly say hello. You'll be seeing me more over the weekend classes than the weekly ones. But though I have two cats, I saw someone, Steph, I think I saw your cat in the background. So I have two of them. They're two little boys. Oh my God, two. Okay, you got four. So I have two little boys, the cats, just one daughter and two cats. And I'm really excited to get to know everyone and to learn so much from you all.
Thank you so much. Yes, a very late applicant, and it's amazing to see you. So I'm so glad you could join us. Well, I think you and Steph were coordinating there. So Steph, you can go next.
Hiya guys. So I'm Steph. Yeah, I've got four cats and three stepchildren. So I'm just exhausted and contemplating my life choices every day. But I love my life. I'm also based in South Wales. I'm in Chepstow. So I can see the bridge, the old Severn Bridge from my house. It's gorgeous. It's just, yeah, every day waking up and seeing that. I'm also relatively new to, so I was actually working in financial services in compliance for about 12 years. And before that, I did work with ITV on sort of like a work experience basis, and that it really, I actually trained because I wanted to be a film director, and I had that creativity, that creative side of myself, and then I landed in compliance, which obviously was a good step. And then I got an opportunity when a colleague went on maternity cover to cover her role as internal comms manager, and I loved it. And I was like, I do not want to go back to compliance. And I'm contracting at the moment, so I'm in between contracts. I start my new contract in 2 weeks. So I've been picking up contract after contract, but at quite high level, and I feel like I'm learning on the job, and people are teaching me what I need to know at that moment in time, but the foundation isn't there. So it's almost like skipped a step. So I feel like this course is going to be really good for me to actually know what I'm doing every day and not wing it.
Thank you so much, Steph. It's lovely to see more of the Welsh contingency as well. I've been working on this course. I'd say that Liz would probably agree with me. That group's getting bigger. I don't know why. That's fantastic. Thank you, Steph. And I think that's such a we hear that a lot, I think, about people taking the course. So thank you so much. Does anyone else want to volunteer to go next? So I'm not just going around the
I don't
room.
mind going next.
Lily.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Lily. I am based in Manchester. I work at Bupa as an internal communications and engagement exec. I kind of fell into the role last year. My department was just looking for someone to do the internal comms and engagement stuff. So put my name forward and got the role. I've got a degree in fashion photography, so I do have kind of creative background. My favorite part of the job, I love the event organising. So as well as the internal comms, I do the engagement. So the event organising for me is really fun. Love seeing it all come together and everyone having a really good time. And I'm so excited to find where this course takes me as well.
Oh, thanks, Lily. And it's lovely to hear so many creative people on the call. It's amazing. Anyone else want to volunteer to go next?
Okay.
I thought you were unmuted.
I don't mind going. Kind of piggybacking off what Lily was saying. I'm Jazz. I work for Compare the Market, famous for our meerkats. I'm sure you've all seen Alexander and Sergey on the adverts. My role, I'm technically a personal assistant on paper, but my role has very much kind of developed into a bit of events, a bit of employer brand, a bit of comms work, a bit of CSR work. We're a very small team, so it's all kind of merged into one. And a lot of the stuff I've been doing over the last 18 months has kind of been around colleague experience and engagement. And I think this course will kind of give me the on-paper skills to kind of help with the practical work that I'm doing, to formalise kind of a role when it comes up, or kind of things move very quickly here. So we'll see where it takes me. But yes, I'm very excited. So nice to meet you all.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. Thank you. Lawrence, I think you are happy to go next.
Yeah, sorry, I thought I was on mute. I was like, I realised you have to say something in order for the picture to come up. Anyway, my name's Lawrence. I'm based in London, in Hammersmith, so West London. I'm like quite a few of the other people, come from a sort of creative background. I have been a filmmaker, and I currently run my own external communications company, and I am looking to go into internal communications basically, and that's a bit of a career pivot, but something that I'm really excited about, and that's why I'm on this course. And I don't have any dogs, and I'm jealous of everyone that has a dog, especially the one you described as weird, Emily. I can't wait to see your dog. Actually, I want to see how weird it actually is.
It's the fact when he stands, because he's like got the corgi there. When he stands up and sits down, he's the same height.
Oh, brilliant! I have the safest pet and easiest pet to look after in the world. I have a tortoise that will outlive all of us. And he's currently hibernating. So again, easy. So that's me.
What's the tortoise's name?
Ziggy.
Ziggy.
He was. We didn't know if it was a girl or a boy tortoise. We gave it a sort of androgynous name when we first got it. So Ziggy, Ziggy Stardust, David Bowie.
Nice. Thanks, Lawrence. Lovely. Is there anyone else who wants to go? Who wants to go next? Or shall I just come off mute if you want to go next?
I'll go.
Yeah, thanks, Kim.
So,
sorry.
Kim
then Lauren. Kim then Lauren.
Go on then. Okay. I'm Kim. I work for a company called GI Group, who are a recruitment business. I'm based in Birmingham. I work from home. I've just transitioned into an employee engagement partner position. Previous background has always been recruitment, internal recruitment, HR. But more recently, I've had involvement in L&D, ED&I, CSI. So it's really kind of piqued my interest in communication specifically within the business. We've been through a lot of change recently over the past couple of years, and I've seen kind of firsthand how important it is to have real clear communication within the business, and it's something that we're not very good at the moment. So I'm kind of starting really from the start. At the minute, our communication, our internal comms is done by anybody that fancies sending out an email. So I'm kind of building strategy, looking at schedules, absolutely everything. So I'm looking forward to learning from all of you and getting as much from this course as possible, really. I've got 2 dogs and 2 boys, Teddy and Ozzy, Liam and Kane. I'm a single mom. I work in what I call the shed, but it's at the summer house in my garden. So yeah, that's me.
Thanks, Kim. And I have noticed, I think it was you and Steph both went with the animals first. Dogs, children, cats, children.
Yeah, got to do it by most important.
Yeah, least trouble.
Thank you very much, Kim. And Lauren, thank
Cool.
you.
So yeah, I'm Lauren. I'm based in Leeds. I work for Sky. The department I work in is home service, so basically engineers that come out to your houses to do your broadband, your telly, everything like that. But I have worked in the contact centre as well, so I've got a bit of everything to do with Sky. I've only done my comms role for about a year and a half, but it's operational comms, and I'm more interested in going into internal comms because I work really closely with them. And I'm just hoping kind of this course will help me just have more when I'm having those conversations, just be able to challenge things and have the confidence to back myself up. And obviously they have to be concrete as well, because eventually I would like to go into internal comms and move away from operational comms. So yeah, I'm hoping this will help with that. I've got a little Westie, she's called Lily, and yeah, that's me.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. And again, I think we'll be able to help with the confidence, and I think that we hear that quite a lot. People coming in and wanting that confidence, as you said, confidence to have those conversations and feel that you've got the skills and the evidence behind you to
Yeah.
have those conversations. So thank you very much, Callum.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Callum. I work for Hinkley Point C, the nuclear power station, or soon to be nuclear power station. Um, I've done a massive career pivot. I was an engineer, qualified as an engineer, did engineering, and did a massive U-turn on my career. So I'm fairly new to comms in general, let alone internal comms. Um, I'm really excited. I started off on the wrong foot on Monday and said I wasn't keen for the course. When I am keen, it came across wrong.
It didn't, honestly.
um, but yeah, I've got a little French bulldog who you might end up hearing snore if I come off mute too often. But yeah, that's a little bit about. I'm from Somerset, Bridgewater, where the power station is, if anyone knows.
Thank you, Callum. Thank you. And no, you didn't come across. It was mean of me on Monday. It was me, not you. My dog snores as well, so maybe we can have some snoring competitions. And I don't know if tortoises snore in hibernation, but thank you so much, Callum. Lucky.
Hi everyone, I'm Lucky. I work for Wesleyan Assurance Society. I've been here for about 11 years, but it's been very varied. So my background is media, but I've been working in marketing, data, been in internal comms for the last 2 years. But to be honest, it's just been originally a lot more admin. Recently, I've been doing a lot more writing, and I'm going to be getting involved a lot more with webinars and senior leaders meetings and different aspects of internal comms. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how this course will help me communicate to different target markets within the internal comms role. Thank you.
Thank you. And your background is just so clean and lovely and just feels very calming. It's a lovely background.
Oh, thank you. It's not mine, it's a picture, but
But it's lovely. Is it one of those ones where you take down the background and it's just
the mess of my house. Oh, I've got two daughters as well. So hence why I've got the background up.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Where are we? Stevie.
Yes, I think it's just me left. Yeah, so I'm Stevie. I work for BAM UK and Ireland, who are a construction company based in UK, Ireland, and Netherlands. I work in the environmental sustainability department as part of an admin and support role. However, I've been very fortunate that in the last year we've had a new director who has seen that my background is in journalism, content creation, and a lot of my role currently involves like event coordination, writing case studies. So I think she's almost noticed a gap there for me to essentially go into something else. And internal comms within the company is something that is quite lacking, especially the bridge between the actual internal comms team and our team. So I'm almost kind of bridging that gap. Personal life, I also have a dog, Franklin, a little Shih Tzu, very cute. Again, you may hear him on occasion if someone comes at the door, if I'm not on mute. And yeah, that's me really very much looking forward to getting started. A little bit like I think someone else mentioned earlier, I'm very much winging it as well at the moment. I'm doing the role and just working alongside the comms team. I think everyone thinks I'm doing it okay, so that's good. But hopefully this will actually mean that I've got a better understanding and actually know what people are talking about going forward.
Oh, thank you, Stevie. Yeah, I'm sure you can help with that. And I think sometimes as well, you think you're winging it, and then when you start looking at the theory and start doing, you think, actually, no, my instinct was right. So I think sometimes you have that validation as well as
yes. I think I've got a lot of the transferable skills. It's just putting them into place in this role now. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hannah.
Hello again. Yeah, I'm Hannah. I live in Swansea. Work in the DVLA. I've been doing internal comms for about 3 years now. Really enjoy it. it's quite a small area, but very varied. So I've got uh, some areas that are to do with leadership and development and supporting operationals areas, and then another area that is actually an operational area where there's a lot of people who are on production lines and who don't have access to computers and stuff like that. So yeah, I just want to get a little bit more experience and professionalism so that I can expand what I'm doing, really.
Mm. Thank you, Hannah. And I'm sure there are other people on the call who also have groups they have to communicate with who aren't desk-based or aren't online. I think that can be a common struggle. So that would be, I'm sure there'll be some connections that we can look at together there. Alyssa, you've come onto camera. Oh, you're still muted, I'm afraid.
This works? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I need to do the introduction, putting a face to So last Monday I was here on holidays. Now I'm still on holidays, but now I am here with the so my ski trip, it's forcing me to be seated here.
Oh, did you hurt your arm?
Yeah, I had a little
Oh no. Oh no.
so, but nothing major, so all good.
Oh, you poor thing.
I'm just only working with one hand now. So, well, I'm Alicia. I'm originally from Mexico, but I am based in Munich, Germany. I work for Samsung Semiconductor for the European region. I work mostly for external communications, social media, PR, and so on. But since the end of last year and completely this year, I am supporting internal communications only for the leadership team, because we are a very small organization. So far, everyone is doing their own internal communication. Each team is managing as they want and can. But at least we want to start putting the example with all the leadership team. So that's my focus, and is where I want to gain more experience. And I have a cat. It's a Greek adopted kidnapped cat. Because I lived there for a pair of months, and there are so many cats in Greece that I fall in love with one, and I just took it home, and now it's also living in Germany. And I think that's it from my side.
Thank you. A kidnapped cat. I like.
Yeah, I keep saying that I adopted him, but
Adopted.
people say that sounds more like I can kidnap him because I took him from outside one of the monasteries in Greece, and yeah,
I see.
in less than a month, everything was ready for him to be able to fly to Germany.
Oh, well, you didn't just kidnap and put him in your bag and say, that's it. You did all the proper arrangements.
Yeah, that I did.
Right, I think we've got, is it India?
Yes, it is. Sorry, I had to.
That's fine. I'd like to say that was me. Stella let me know. I was like, thank you, India.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm India. I'm based in Essex. I'm an Essex girl. I work for Network Rail as a project manager. Never thought I'd be in the railway, but circumstances 10 years ago led me to here, working with a load of smelly old men. Yeah, I do overhead line projects and buildings and facilities projects, but I had the opportunity last year to delve into communications. So there was a major change going on within our program, a reorganization. So we had to let people know. A lot of people were affected, 700 employees. So we had to let them know about the change and what that means for them. So I worked with a creative agency to do an animation, which I loved. I helped write the comms plan. I did some interviews with senior management, which was so good as well. So yeah, I love the creative side. I haven't got any pets or children, but I'd love to have a tortoise. I think Lawrence said that. I've already got a name, a tortoise or a turtle. They're like my favorite animals. So yeah, I've already got a name.
What's the name? What's the name?
Tobago, because I'm named after a country, so
Oh,
Tobago.
nice. Nice. And that could, I think that could be a boy or a girl. Like Lawrence, you could head to that
Exactly.
there. That's
Exactly.
clever. Clever
Yeah.
thinking. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, India.
Cool.
There's a lot going on in Network Rail, obviously the GBR move as well. So
There's a lot going on now. Yeah, definitely. Thank God I'm not affected, but yeah, there is a lot.
thank you. Jordan, I'm not sure if hopefully you can hear us.
Yes, I'm hoping you can hear me. I was
Yes.
having internet issues, so I've turned the camera off. I'll wave after I've spoken so you don't lose me.
Good idea.
I'll hit Lauren up because I'm with Sky, so I'll check in afterwards. I'm Jordan. I've worked in comms officially for about 3 years, but I did it as side of desk for quite a while. I've winged my way into a proper internal comms team and role. So you can get quite far on winging it. But it would be really nice to kind of formalize like my experience and hopefully learn some new things. So I'm really excited about this course. I don't have any pets, don't have children. I don't live in Wales, I live in Wiltshire. So I'll bring a bit more to the West Countryside with Callum. And yeah, I got married in October. So I'm quite excited to not be planning an event that is mega stressful and focus some time on myself. So yeah, that's me.
Oh, lovely. Thanks, Jordan. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hello.
Hopefully you don't lose me.
Nice to see you. Thank you so much. And I see Steph, we've got a friend in the background. Steph.
Yeah, that's Mabel. So I've got four. I've got Mildred, which is my old lady. This is Mabel. She's my new kitten, and she is an absolute demon. So don't think she looks cute. And then I've got Dennis and Rodney, which are my baby boys. So yeah. So she just wants to be center of attention.
Well, one of my colleagues had a kitten and would continuously walk over the laptop screen. Yeah, yeah. And just
Yeah,
all we is this bluff.
no respect for, personal space. So
Thank you so much. I think we've heard from everyone. Just double check. We've heard from everyone. Thank you so much. So I think we've got everyone on the call today, have we, Stella? So we've got 14 people in your cohort. So hopefully lots of people to connect with, learn from, share with. We'll talk about this later. Liz will cover it, but please do use Canvas to connect with each other. Maybe we could set something up for you can share numbers and whatever you want to do, but do use the opportunity. And again, using Canvas, if you have any questions, you can always put them on there and share that learning, share the responses. And there are lots of similarities coming out, whether it's work or non-work. Lots of creative people. I think we already have filmmaker, wanted to be a film director. We've got lots of connections there outside of the diploma. So do support each other, do learn from each other, and take everything from them, and hopefully have those long-lasting relationships. So thank you very much. So what I'll do now, I'll just share my screen. I'm going to share my full screen. So everyone shut their eyes for a minute because you'll see yourself, because I will move around a tiny bit. And it's always horrible when you have to see yourself. Right. Can you now see the slides?
Yeah.
Check. Yes, perfect. So hopefully you've got to know each other a little better. As I said, I will now talk you through a little bit more about the Institute. You're all fully fledged members of the Institute now, and you will be for the next year at least. I mean, hopefully you'll stay with us after, but for at least a year. And I'll talk a little bit more about Solent University. Again, as you know, this is a dual award. It is in partnership. Solent University academically accredit this course, and we run it with them really closely. So I'll talk a little bit more about what that means, and what you get from that as well. So the Institute of Internal Communication. So we are the leading professional body dedicated exclusively to internal communication. We're the voice of internal communication. Have been at the forefront of the profession for 75 years. So we actually started out in 1949 as the Association of Industrial British Editors. Bit of a mouthful. Not sure why we changed the name. And then we changed the name to the Institute of Internal Communication in 2010. There's actually a really interesting project called the Institutional History of Internal Comms in the UK. I've got that written over there because, again, a bit of a mouthful. And that is some research into historical origins and the development of internal communication. It's run by some academics based in Newcastle Business School at Northumbria University. We partner with them on the project. So if you're interested to learn a little bit more about where internal communication came from, where it started out, the origins, it also gives more information on where the institute came from, and our role in the development of the profession. So it's a really interesting project. If anyone's interested, let me know and I can send you the link. But yeah, it's really interesting to get involved with because as we've just heard, everyone's so passionate about internal communication. It's really interesting to see where it's come, where it's evolved. So as the Institute, as a professional body, we set standards and advocate the critical role of internal communication in organisations. As we all know, because we're all in internal communication or we all want to be in internal communication, it is a vital business function. It's so important to the success of organisations, the success of people, the economy, society, everything. It's so pivotal. And so we really do advocate that role. And we set standards. And obviously, the qualifications are pivotal in our work setting professional standards. They're sort of the core of everything we do. They're aligned to our profession map, which I'll talk to you a little bit in a minute, and also Liz will cover. But they're so important to everything we do. So you're taking this course, and it's fundamental. We represent a growing community seeking to develop their skills, advance their careers, and demonstrate their impact. So you're joining that community, and I think everything there you obviously will want to take part in as well. That's a little bit about ourselves. So Lawrence mentioned, I think on Monday, he asked a little bit about the qualification journey. So this talks a little bit about mapping our qualifications to your career journey and also how it maps to our membership grades. So, as I mentioned, the profession map, hopefully you're all aware of the profession map, but sets the benchmark standards for knowledge and skills for internal communication professionals at various stages in their career. The profession map has 4 distinct levels. And what we've done is because everything's so important, we map the qualifications to those 4 levels, and we also map our membership grades to those 4 levels. So the first level is the associate member. So associate members might be working at a tactical level. You might be delivering high quality internal communication materials. You might be involved in content creation, supporting events, everything we've heard about today. And that is mapped to level 1 of the profession map. To become an associate member, you need to have graduated from the foundation diploma or demonstrate experience via an online self-assessment. So from this course, you will all at graduation be associate members, automatically associate members. So you're starting that career journey. The next level, the next grade is our member grade. So we'd expect members to be working maybe at an operational level. They might be supporting with channel management, planning, supporting stakeholders. You may be a manager, business partner, and that is mapped to level 2 of the profession map. To become a member, you need to have graduated from the advanced diploma or demonstrate experience via the online self-assessment. The next level is our certified members. So to be a certified member, you'll be working at a senior and strategic level, advising on strategies and leading internal communication thinking. And that is aligned to level 3 of the profession map. To become a certified member, you need to graduate from our masters or demonstrate experience via online self-assessment. So as you can see, these sort of 3 initial grades are mapped to the qualifications and the profession map. And then the top grade, this is fellow. This is our fellowship. So this is the highest level of membership, and this is an award. So it's mapped to level 4 of the profession map, and it is awarded to individuals who have demonstrated outstanding achievements, expertise, and contributions to internal communication. And we expect fellows to be undertaking things like sharing their expertise, giving back, driving thought leadership, supporting talent, and the profession of the future. Your facilitator is a fellow of the Institute. So you can see that, it really is that top pivotal grade that we have. So benefits of the foundation diploma. I mean, you're all on the foundation diploma, so I hope you're very well aware of the benefits. But it is a professional qualification delivered by a recognised academic institution, the university, and the industry body, the IoIC. It has a really strong theory into practice approach. So you should be learning and applying your learning from the outset. So all the work you're doing on the course will hopefully be directly applicable to what you're doing in your workplace and will support in what you're doing. I know a few of you have mentioned things in your workplace, maybe the communication processes or styles. So hopefully we can support you with that. So obviously, although the course is definitely a distinct undertaking, we do hope that everything you're doing you can practically apply and it will be useful. And so yes, the diploma at the end is fantastic, and don't get me wrong, that is a great achievement. But what we hope is that by the end of the course, you feel that you have developed as a practitioner, you feel confident to have those conversations, like someone was saying earlier. You feel that you can, challenge if you need to, that you can update things if you need to, and have that evidence and that evidence behind you, and then have the qualification as well. It obviously raises your professional profile and evidences your commitment to the highest standards in practice and internal communication. As we've just seen, it's mapped to everything we do. They're so important to everything we do. A network of communication professionals to learn from and with. That's really important. And we do find that I think the students who do engage with each other get the most out of the course. You're learning from each other. I think earlier someone said they love events and then someone else is getting into events. And I think just learn from each other. You'll all have similar challenges and different challenges. I think that's really, really interesting. And you also have a year's worth of CPD, which is 40 points. So we recommend 40 points, which leads me on to benefits-wise, IoIC membership. So as IoIC members, you have access to our CPD program. So as I said just then, we recommend that our practitioners undertake around 40 CPD points per year. Because the diploma is a big undertaking, we wouldn't expect you to be going much else aside from that. So it is those 40 points. So within our system, which I'll show you briefly in a minute, you can really easily log your CPD points. So if you do undertake anything else, and I'll go through other opportunities in a second, do log them on the CPD system, because at the end of the year in your annual cycle, if you have achieved those, well, you will have achieved those 40 points, you'll get a certificate and a badge. So you can also showcase your diploma. You can also showcase your CPD record as well. Just check. Callum, that is not a silly question at all. Continuing professional development. Thank you very much for asking and checking. So it's really your continuing professional development. So anything that is a learning activity is continuing professional development. So that could be something formal like the diploma and lots of things I'll go through in a moment. It could be working with your manager and learning from them. It could be shadowing, it could be mentoring. There are loads of things you can undertake. Listen to a podcast, reading an article. There's so much you can do, which is continuing professional development. And what we say, for it to count as CPD, you just need to reflect on it. Now, Liz will talk to you about reflection, and reflective practice is so important with any qualification with this diploma. But when you're recording something as CPD, that learning activity, you just need to reflect on it. What did you learn from it? What maybe didn't you learn from it? What will you apply to make sure that the learning has gone in? Or you might be reflecting and saying it wasn't that useful. So, that's also fair. So continuing professional development. Hold on a second. You also have the opportunity to join networks and attend network events. So we have regional networks. So there's one in Wales, obviously. They're all around the UK, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and then different regions of the UK. They have virtual events and in-person events. So if you're local, Lawrence, you're in London, there's the London hub do tend to do things in person, and you can go and network and join. Sometimes they'll have a theme or a speaker. Other times it will just be having a virtual coffee and saying, how's everyone getting on? We know the environment at the moment is tricky, so how can we support each other? So you'll have an opportunity if you would like to join those networks. IoIC mentoring scheme. So this runs 3 times a year. The application's open. They'll be open at the end of February, the next application round, and then in June and in October. And what we do is people can apply to be a mentee or a mentor, and then we will manually match you based on your objectives and what you want to gain and experience. And we look very closely to make sure we make the most appropriate matches. We do find that qualification students can get quite a lot out of the mentoring scheme. So if you'd like to apply to be a mentee. As I said, it's open at the end of February, but Stella will send an announcement just to let you know it's opened. If you have any questions, let me know. There's a community forum and a member directory. So it's the community forum is basically a discussion board. So people can ask, I think recently we've had I'm struggling with Viva Engage, that sort of thing. Or has anyone got an experience with employee awards? Or, unfortunately, we've had a situation of, grief or suicide or some, a really, really difficult topic in the workplace. How has anyone else approached this? So you can learn and share from each other in a forum space. The member directory is if you opt in, you can go and find individual members. So you can literally just think, oh, I'm really interested in that sector. We've got anyone from that sector. If they give them their contact details or LinkedIn, you can then connect individually as well. That's really useful. We've got a skills assessment tool. So the IC diagnostic is based on the profession map. So what you can go and do is you can go and assess yourself against that level one of the profession map and look at where your gaps in your knowledge are, what you're doing well at, what you might need to improve on. And for this course, obviously that could be a really useful tool for you because you rate your confidence in I think 20 different statements, and then it will give you sort of the report on, as I said, your strengths, your weaknesses, or gaps, and it'll also support you with different learning opportunities as well. The Careers Hub, so this is an online platform. It's jam-packed of short e-learning courses, variety of topics. We've got things on well-being through to presentation skills, through to neurodiversity, negotiation, project management. And there's also lots of tools around your career. So there's a CV tool, you can test your CV, an interview tool. There are assessment center, practice assessment centers. There's a lot on there. So I think the first time you go on there, you might want to spend a good little bit of time just familiarizing yourself, almost bookmarking things, but it can be really useful if you want that short on demand. It's available 24/7 to members. It's a really useful resource. Voice magazine. So this is our membership magazine, which some of you may be familiar with. It's got lots of practical and useful content. So we'll have things like interviews, case studies, features. It's really interesting, and each edition normally has a theme. And so, for example, I think I mentioned about sort of hard to reach audiences. The next edition, we're going to have a feature on how to reach call center employees. So we're hearing a lot more about this as a struggle. So what we try and do is we'll listen to the members, what they're looking for, and we know people like to learn from each other. So like as I said, case studies are really pivotal, and learning about what other people are doing. AI, obviously huge topic, quite a lot of AI in there. So you will get that. It's quarterly magazine. I think the next one's coming out in about March, and so you'll have an online version, but you can go back and look at all of the old editions from last year, and there's some really fascinating bits in there. The Knowledge Hub. So on the Knowledge Hub, you have a wealth of content. There's loads on there. There are peer-reviewed fact sheets and guides. Through the course, we will direct you and signpost you to the ones we think are particularly relevant, but there's a lot on there. For example, we've got a neuroscience fact sheet, mental health, campaigning about mental health, accessible comms. There's so much on there, and different guides. Let me just check what question. So it's checking question. Technical employees too. Yes, exactly. So we've actually got a fact sheet on hard to reach audiences, which is broader, not just the call center employees. So there's loads on there. There's also case studies, there's opinion, there's thought leadership. So we've just released a white paper, for example, on the future skills for the internal communication profession. Really fascinating. A lot of discussion happening around that. There's an on-demand video, a kind of work-along video on AI prompting. What I really recommend taking a look at that. So there's loads on there. And again, I'll give you a quick show where to find things in a second because I realise I'm saying a lot and there's a lot of overwhelm. Then let me just. You also have access to regular free events. So we run things like panels, webinars, various sort of tend to be about an hour sessions at lunchtime, and they're all on. Most of them are online, and you can obviously. I know you're going to be busy with the diploma, but if anything really catches your eye, do sign up, do sit in and listen. There's often interesting conversation depending on what the event is, but they're really interesting. We'll do live briefings. So, for example, we did one on the white paper. So if there is a piece of thought leadership that you think, oh, I'm really interested in that, I'm not quite sure, there'll be a live briefing on it to kind of explain it and have discussion around it. They're all free for members, and then they're all recorded, so you'd have the on-demand library of past events. So again, in the Knowledge Hub, this is where the on-demand library sits. And I would definitely recommend having a quick look back and thinking, oh, I'd be really interested in that panel. I think we did a panel on strategy, for example, or, having a look back and thinking, I might dip into that. Because if it's on demand, you can fast forward if you don't find it, if there aren't bits that aren't all relevant. Use of the professional designation. As we looked at a second ago, those membership grades, you can put those letters behind your name, which is obviously fantastic, the professional credibility. So at the end of this course, when you're all associate members, you can put AIIC after your name, and that really does showcase your professional credibility. And finally, if you are looking to do anything else, we also offer discounts. So we offer 20% discount on all training courses for members, and the festival, which runs it used to be in June. We moved it slightly earlier this year. It's on the 6th and 7th of May. The festival is a really popular event, and we have had diploma students go in the past and get a lot out of it. And it's a 2-day event with different zones, inspiration, practical. It's all about getting together we do really like to think it does have that relaxed festival atmosphere, but you're also learning together, connecting from each other. And conferences. So we've been developing more one-day conferences and thematic conferences in the last year. So you also get a discount off those as a member. So just thought I would quickly, because I've talked a lot about that. Can you now see the website? Fabulous, fabulous. So if you go to our website to find all of these things I've just been mentioning, if you log in, so make sure you've got your login details. You can log in. And once you're logged in, it means that you have access to things that are behind a sort of member wall. So for example, you went to our fact sheets, it would say you needed to log in to access that fact sheet, because a lot of things I've mentioned are exclusive member benefits. So once you're logged in, if it's gonna, perfect. So this is your main member account area. So we've got a member induction program, which you might want to have a look at. That goes through the benefits I've just mentioned. The CPG program I've just mentioned there, that gives you information on, Callum, what CPD is, why you want to undertake it, what might count as CPD. And there's a really easy area to log your CPD as well. And you can just, if you do undertake anything, if you do listen to a podcast, if you do read anything, add it. So there's just a bit of information here. And as you can see, for the logging, it is very simple. You just add that all in there, do a little reflection. You don't need to worry about supporting or description, but a bit of reflective commentary. So if you are, on your commute to work, you tend to listen to a podcast, pop it as CPD. So if you look, this is your main account area, as I mentioned. So it's always at the top, your main account area. The careers hub and diagnostic, been quite slow today. I think my internet's a bit slow today as well. I'm not on Sky this, so I can't go to Lauren. So the careers hub and diagnostic that I mentioned, you just go to there, you can click straight through. We've got on-demand learning, so this will signpost you to various on-demand learning. Your communities networks, and you can also find the member directory. This here is if you book on any events, is how you find the details, and obviously the other things are quite self-explanatory. And then what I mentioned, the Knowledge Hub. So on the Knowledge Hub, as you can see, you've got lots. You can just go on to search. So if you were looking for, a difficult topic like grief in the workplace, suicide in the workplace, you could go and search that and it will come up with any resources we have available. The thought leadership that I mentioned, we've got lots of thought leadership via there. Voice magazine. So on Voice Magazine, as I said, you can download all the back issues of Voice Magazine. The last one that I had that picture of was a really fantastic one, the Global Conversation. And also we do publish the articles separately. So you can go and have a look at the articles on there. We're out of time, so I'll just quickly move forward. But fact sheets, guides and resources, this is where all the peer-reviewed content is. So if you're looking for things to support you with the diploma, that's where you'll find that. The on-demand library is there, and then below you've got the podcast. So there's lots on there for you. So do have a little look around after the session. So let me go back to this. Did anyone have any questions on that before I move on? Good. Good. Oh, if I do that, it'll make me go through the whole animation again. So we have got, so we'll now look at Solent University. So as hopefully most of you are aware, Solent University is based down in Southampton. So although the course is online, if anyone ever wanted to go and attend the university, will be fully fledged Solent University students. So you can go down to Solent if you wanted to. Is the building in that picture is the Spark building. It is very impressive and beautiful. So if anyone's local or wants to visit, you're welcome to attend. So Solent University have been our academic partner for over a decade. We partner with them on all of our qualifications. The foundation diploma was the first qualification we partnered with them on. So this is the kind of long-standing partnership. They hold 3 gold ratings in the Teaching Excellent framework, which recognises that student experience, student outcomes are typically outstanding. There was only a handful actually of universities that got that 3 gold rating. I think Oxford and Cambridge were a couple of the others. So it really does show they really are dedicated to ensuring that students get the best they can from the courses. They are external academic accreditation that guarantees that our processes are robust and underpinned by sound academic principles. So when it comes to marking your full assessments, your final assessments, they go through a full marking moderation, external moderation, internal moderation process that Stella has to manage. There's a lot we have to do to ensure we are really keeping up those standards. So you can be assured that everything we do is aligned with academic industry standards. As I mentioned before, it's a dual award, and so you will actually receive 30 academic credits at the end of the course as well. So, as I said, you are a Solent student. So as a Solent student, you'll have access to university services. So you'll have these slides afterwards. I've added in a few links for you. You'll have access to the library, which is, as I said, you will be mostly accessing online. But if you wanted to go down, you can go to the real library. And you'll also have the sector librarian, Dan Scott, who is amazing and lovely. And nothing's too much trouble. He would happily have an individual call with you. He can support you finding text. He can support you with referencing anything kind of that you need additional support. Dan Scott will be available. He is our sector librarian. We also, because you will be a Solent student, you'll have access to the Scone or Access scheme. Now, this is a scheme which means that university students can access other libraries, other university libraries. So if you go onto there, once you've got your student ID, if you have a local university library, it may be that through the scheme, you can go and visit that library and access physical books from there. So it's really useful. So do have a look if there's anything anywhere you think that's kind of local to you once you're all fully up and rolled. You have access to a practical certificate in AI. Solent produced this last year, so all Solent students, staff, everyone has access to this online practical certificate in AI. Again, there's a link there if you want to take a look at that. Succeed at Solent. So this is a whole wealth of resources on study skills. There's on Harvard referencing. There's loads on there. We will signpost you via Canvas where we can, but do also kind of take initiative and have a look at what's available and what you might find useful as you go through the course. You also have access to their mental health and wellbeing services. We really appreciate this is, you're undertaking this qualification alongside work, life, tortoises, cats, all of these things you're taking it alongside. So it may, if you do have any issues throughout the course, we are here to help you as well. Stella, myself, Liz, don't suffer in silence, but there is a whole service also as a Solent University student. And you also get student discounts. Unfortunately, I've heard they're not as good as they used to be. I think that's what we've heard. But you will have a student ID, so you will be a student. You can access student discounts. So I think I'll just going to quickly show you the library. It's got 5 minutes to go. So once you're all enrolled and you've got everything you need, this is where you find the library. Again, we'll signpost here. And obviously there's loads here, so it can be a bit, where do I go? Go to library catalogue. And this is the online library catalogue. And this is where you'll access all of your texts. So as you see, look, referencing Solent University, lots of support there. So for example, you might want to search Liam Fitzpatrick. He's on your reading list. If I could spell his name, it would help. And we'll see what comes up. So we're looking at this one, a manual for practitioners, which some of you may be familiar with. And so what happens with the library is the library catalogue hosts the catalogue, but then the texts are available via different platforms. So this is VLE Books. So your login will be the same, but it just might ask you to re-log in, as you can see here. And all you need to do is log in. So that is normal. So you've got VLE Books and you've got QE Books, you've got a Taylor and Francis. So it is normal. This is how the library works. And then as you see, depending on the platform, you can read it, download citations, add your bookshelf, and you can access it that way. So as I said, you will just keep needing to log in. When you get all your login from Solent, just one thing to mention, whenever it asks for an email address, it is your Solent email address. So you're given an email address, which will be your username at solent.ac.uk. Sometimes the logins want just your username. Sometimes they want the email address. So just always try either or. But it's never asking you for the personal one. So when you applied with Solent and you gave them your email address, it's not asking for that one. It's asking for your Solent email address that you'll be given just for these activities, if that makes sense. So as I said, there's loads on here. So you have access to the full library, and there's journals, there's articles, there's loads of things on here. So we will on the course signpost you to things, so you don't have to kind of look around too much. But everything, if you want to do your own research, there's loads on there. So let me just crack on quickly. Canvas. So I think you're probably really quite familiar with Canvas now. You're all here, so you've all got the announcements. So it's the online course home for the diploma. As Stella said earlier, you'll find all your course information on there. We'll communicate with you via Solent. You'll tend to get Friday announcements from Stella once the induction week's over. They're very useful announcements. They're beautifully written, and sometimes she puts lovely little pictures in them. They're lovely. So do keep an eye out for those. And so hopefully you've put all of the schedule in your diaries, but there'll be reminders. Don't rely on those reminders, but there will be reminders. As I mentioned earlier, use it to ask questions. There'll be a general Q&A forum. If you've got a question that isn't, you feel happy for other people to hear, put it on there. One of us will respond, and then everyone can benefit from that answer. Or you might want to put a question for someone else. Does anyone else have this issue? So use it as a forum as well. It might be that you add a question that no one else realizes they thought of it, and as soon as you put it on, oh yeah, so really useful. Use it to communicate with each other. There's a chat function on there. There's messaging function. Or, if you want us to set something up so you can start sharing numbers and go off Canvas, that's fine. But do use Canvas at least initially. You'll submit your assignments on there. And as I said, make sure your notifications are set up so you'll get notifications on everything. If you're not sure, ask. And one thing I'd say is when you go to the course, if you ever, once you're in some of the detail and the content, from this picture, as you can see. So for example, if you're getting started, you can sometimes go, where do I go next? A little tip is just go to that left-hand bar and always go back to modules that you can see there. And that will take you back to this home screen, and you'll have the list of items again. Because as we go through the course, we'll add more and more. So there'll be more to go through. So finally, could you be our student course rep? So student voice is essential for the diploma. We want to hear from you and know how we can best support you through your studies. So this can be throughout the course. If you ever have any feedback or anything you want to, come to us, talk to us, you want to make this the best experience. You want you to get everything you can get from this course. So do come to us. But we also have a slightly more formal function for this. So we hold biannual course committee meetings with Solent University. So that's a meeting where we come together with representatives from our qualifications, from Solent, the course teams, and we hear feedback, what's going well, what's not going so well, any improvements. They are absolutely fundamental to what we do. The outcomes from these actually work on go into our action plans. We really do respond to the feedback. If we think changes are, because we are into the courses, fresh eyes are always useful, and your experience is so valuable. So what we ask is that one person from the cohort volunteers to be the course rep. And then they attend that meeting. It's online. They only need to talk for a couple of minutes, and they gather the feedback from the rest of the cohort, and then they present it or talk it through at the meeting for us. So if anyone wants to volunteer, they're really interesting because you'll also, if you are interested in the qualifications going forwards, there'll be an advanced diploma rep, there'll be a master's rep, there'll be all the course teams, so you get quite a lot out of them. But we also do offer a free place on a training course. Don't have to use it through the diploma. You probably don't want to do it at this time, but you can use it. You can have it in the bank and use it at any time. We'd offer you a place on a free place on a training course just to say thank you, because we recognise we're kind of making an additional ask. So if anyone wants to volunteer, just pop Stella an email afterwards and just volunteer. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. It's likely to be that the meeting will be in about June, so you've got quite a long time, and we will support you on the process. And that is the end of me speaking. But does anyone have any questions? No. Either I covered everything well or I covered everything too much. Well, hope that gives you some good insights though into, as I said, the relationship, what you can get involved in. But if anyone has any questions, just come to me. I've been working here for 4 years, I think. So I hope I can support you with the IoIC membership, Stone University, anything you need. But as I said, Stella's also obviously your kind of go-to. So lovely. Okay, well, if no one has any questions, we will have a well-deserved break. I did say you'd need it after my bit. And then we'll be passing to Liz, who will introduce you formally to the diploma. And that's probably the bit you're really looking forward to getting involved in. So go grab a coffee. We'll be back at 1:45. I'm afraid I've got to jump off today. I've got a slightly urgent meeting I have to attend. So I'll leave you in the very capable hands of Stella and Liz. But if anyone does have any questions on anything I said, Stella, give everyone my email address and do feel free to contact me. So back at 1:45.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely. Recording started.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a bit more about the diploma itself. You've heard so much about what resources are available to you in the IoIC membership benefits, and now we're going to get stuck into what we're going to cover over the next 6 months or so. But it all starts with the profession map. So Emily has outlined this for you and the different levels that we have. And it's a really good resource and reference tool for you as you develop your career, hopefully in internal comms or maybe elsewhere, but this really maps out the journey and particularly the skills that you need at each level. So, it's really interesting to hear all your backgrounds, where you've come from, and some expectations on you to sort of set up almost internal comms. But this is really helpful to see what it is you need, what skills you need, and also what you would need to move onwards and upwards. So as Emily pointed out, this is how our qualifications are structured. This profession map was put together originally in 2016 and then revised a couple of years or so ago, and we continue to review it. We have a panel of professionals who will look at it as things progress, as our profession evolves. And it really is about ensuring professionalism in the work that we do. I mean, it always strikes me when Emily says the Institute has been around for 75 years. So I feel internal comms seems quite new, and people will still you still may have to explain what you do. But we've been communicating internally within organizations for a very long time, and it's really evolved as a profession and become so core, hasn't it, to all sorts of businesses. As you all attest, you come from very different industries and backgrounds, and companies, organizations recognize the need for internal comms. So this is the tool that we use. So looking at this, this is the sort of the target. So starting with the pies at 12 o'clock, strategy, planning, and business acumen. So these little pie slices are the categories of skills you need, and the qualifications explain what you need at each level. So starting with this group of skills, strategy, planning, and business acumen, this is really about us supporting colleagues to understand the organizational strategy, and understand where they fit in, and why, it's about people understanding why they do what they do, what their part of the organization is, and how they are supporting the overarching business direction or organization's direction and priorities. And for us, we need to help support people understanding how their work aligns with that strategy. So everything we do, everything we're doing in internal comms is aligned to where the organization needs to get to, or where the business needs to get to. And there needs to be that thread in our internal communications back to my role, whether you're a field engineer or you're working in a contact center or you're in head office. The next, moving around clockwise, the next section, the next bit of the pie is understanding people and cultures. So understanding our people, our colleagues, employees, and the cultures that they come from or are in. And that's not just geographical, not just where they are in the world, but also which part of the business or organization they're in. There are cultures and there are subcultures. And we, as internal communicators, really need to be able to understand the needs of our employees, our colleagues in the different parts of the organization, so we can meet their communication needs. And you'll do a lot more on this in module 3, where we look at channels and employee groups. So it's about understanding our people, what drives them, and to really support them in having meaningful conversations, exchanges with each other, understanding again how they fit into the organization, can contribute and be part of the conversation. So really getting to know our colleagues is a foundational aspect of being able to then deliver and advise on the best way to communicate and engage them, communicate with them and engage them. Moving around, creating and curating content and conversation. So this is at the heart of an internal communications skill set, if you like. We need to be able to write well. We need to be able to write content for appropriate messages and channels. We need to be able to adapt our writing style according to the needs. We've moved in the last 20, 30 years from a broadcast communicating from the top type environment within businesses, organizations, to much less formal communication, more joint ownership of communications, more face-to-face and conversation. And so we need to be able to support that. We need to be able to support informal exchanges on internal social media platforms, as well as the sort of leadership comms, the leadership webinars. I think, was it Lucky, one of you was mentioning that there's a whole range of communications activities and channels that we will need to understand and support. But at the heart of it is, can we write well and appropriately for each to meet the business objectives? Still needs to be well crafted and well written. And then channel and community management, moving on round. We need to know what channels, internal communication channels, are available to us through which we'll communicate with our colleagues or support leaders to help them communicate, and also to support colleagues communicate with each other. So it's sort of lateral, up, down, and bottom up, as it were. And so really understanding the different choices that are available to us, and recognizing if there's a gap, if there are gaps that certain groups within the organization we're not able to access or support them well enough. Are there other channels that would support that, would support them? So understanding the channels that we have, and then being able to support conversation. So it's not, again, simply using channels to communicate downwards or even laterally. It's about enabling conversation within the organization. We don't control everything. Leaders don't control all conversation and communication. We facilitate, we enable, we support. And then really important is conducting research, measuring and demonstrating value, moving on around there. We need to be able to support our communication advice. So when someone comes to us and says, put together this newsletter or write this, we need to be able to back up our advice with evidence, be able to advise on the right approach, on the right channel, and how best to communicate the message. And with that, to do that, you need the evidence, you need the data. So as part of our roles, we should always be checking whether our communications have worked, whether they've met the business objectives, whether things that we could do differently, and what's the data telling us, what's the feedback telling us, what are our colleagues saying about the communication campaign we might have been involved in. It's really doing a lot more listening and researching and drawing on data, evidence, even informal feedback and evidence, to be able to then have the confidence to say, I would suggest we do it in this way. We communicate this across the organisation with the knowledge of the channels that you have available, the data that supports which channels work best for which employee groups, and then knowing that will be the more effective communication. So one of the things that Liam Fitzpatrick says, so that was the book that's available online that Emily mentioned. I have the hard copy here, an old school hard copy. I don't know, I can never get it into focus. This is the hard copy. Liam Fitzpatrick says, come with the data, leave with respect. So there's nothing more confidence building than being able to say, we have evidence for this, or I have, the research shows that, or I know from my diploma studies that this would be a good approach to achieve these communication objectives. We need hard reasons for doing what we're doing. And oftentimes you're talking about winging it. Through instinct, through experience, we're getting it right, but we need to have that confidence that it is right. And again, internal data, understanding our internal environment, every organization's different, it is a key to that. And then finally, influencing and advising. So again, it's back to that, can you just write this article for me? Can you just put together a newsletter? Is that the right approach? Do we think there are alternatives to achieving the end that perhaps a leader wants? And then being able to put together a campaign plan or advise on how best to do that, or even advise that that's not the right approach and there isn't a need to write an article at all. But having that, again, all of those other things, the understanding of your colleagues' needs, communication needs, the understanding of the channel environment you have in your organization, and having done research or having access to data will put you in a strong position to be able to influence and advise. And that's something that will, develop over time as you get to know not only your organization and colleagues, but also hopefully with the help of this diploma and all that you'll learn on the foundation. And outside of the pie are the sort of personal qualities or behaviours that really support the internal communication practitioner. And I'm sure you have these, being tenacious, analytical, creative, lots of creativity in this group, adaptable, empowering, trustworthy, curious, challenging, listening, empathetic. I think these are behaviours and qualities that communicators have. It's what's probably drawn you to communications in the first place. And then finally, in the middle is really it summarizes our aim, which is to enable our people to feel informed, connected and purposeful in order to drive, the organization's performance. So that's the sort of core at the heart, in the bullseye. So I think, the IoIC, with a lot of input and colleagues, professionals, IC professionals, have put together a really nice sort of summary of the skills, capabilities we need in internal comms, and then mapped to that are the levels that Emily mentioned. So level 1, 2, 3, and 4. So level 1 is this foundation diploma. So this foundation diploma is all about being able to feel confident about delivery. I know this is best practice. My approach is supported by expertise, and I approach my internal communication in an informed way. So that's level 1. This is what we want you to walk away with at the end of that, confidence that you're confident in the approach that you're taking, and you have expertise and as well as experience to back that up. Level 2 is the advanced diploma level, where you have more responsibility for internal comms. You're making decisions, you're managing channels, you're taking more of a leadership role. And then levels 3 and 4 is the masters, where you have for people who are in a more strategic role, you're sitting with the executive team and taking on much more of an advisory position, and that's the master's qualification. Now, I have a hard copy, but you can access this on Canvas. I have a hard copy of this, which I find always useful, but you will see that when you go to one of the skill sets, so influencing and advising, sorry, I know you're not going to be able to read this, but in there, each level is mapped to the sort of indicative activities that you need to be able to do at each of those levels. So, at level 1, you're providing advice to colleagues regarding good practice IC. Level 2, you're forging and developing internal working relationships and so on. And it's really helpful as to map your career, to see where you're at, and or see where the gaps are, or where you are strong, and you're perhaps working at a sort of higher level. And we will return to this, but this will be your resource to go back to when we look much further on at where you feel you've got to, what you feel you've learned, how you feel you've applied your learning, and what you want to do, what are your next steps in terms of your career and development. Okay, so what's involved in this diploma? What do you have to do to get this badge of recognition with this qualification? We are going to work our way through 5 modules. You're going to be doing all the hard work, and we'll cover to cover the syllabus, to really cover the skills and capabilities that you need at this level and that you can build on. You will be assessed on 2 assignments, and you'll be able to do optional drafts for all your assignments, which is really helpful. And as I said, they're optional, but students get a lot out of putting forward a draft and then getting feedback on that draft. It's called a formative submission. And the feedback that you get isn't a mark, it's just guidance on areas that you might want to focus on, or guidance on whether you've answered the brief or missed something from the brief. Perhaps guidance on writing or referencing. So yes, it's feedback, formative feedback you will get if you submit a draft, and then you will submit the final version, and that's called the summative assignment. So and that is marked by people on the assessment team, and then moderated, and then also moderated and reviewed by Solent. So there are levels of marking, but that's for your summative assignments. So you have 2 assignments that will be marked. The first is a project after module 4, and the second is all the other modules brought together at the end. and we will come back to that. So there are lots of opportunities for learning, feedback, improvement with the feedback that you get, and we'll support you at every stage. On the academic side, it'll be more me, and I said I have colleagues on the teaching and assessing team who also will be supporting you as well with feedback. So these are the 5 modules. I'm sure many of you, all of you, will have glanced at the syllabus ahead, but we will go through it again. So the first module, understanding internal communication and its role in the organisation, which you will attend on Monday. However, if you can't attend for any reason, these modules are recorded. So you can go to the recording, but I think you'll agree it's better to be able to be there. However, they are there for you recorded if you can't attend, and obviously over the coming months things get in the way, other things crop up, but they will be available to you on demand. So the first module is delivered by Liz Cochrane, who is our head of teaching and professional development. Very experienced. I admire her enormously because she with her colleague Jenny Davenport set up these qualifications 20 or so years ago. There was nothing, and from that, foundation diploma, advanced diploma, and masters have come about and are very well established now. So Liz will be delivering that module next week. I think it's Monday. I think I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
It is good. And it's a scene setter. So it's about why do people hire us to do the job that we do? And I think also it's a really good opportunity to reflect on internal communication, especially if you are part of a new team or setting internal communication up. What is it that we do? Where do we and how do we add value? Or if you are in a very well established internal communication setup, it's useful to kind of check that. What do others do? What else is there? Could there be other things that we could do? Am I actually? Is there much more opportunity to do more in internal communication in my organisation? It's a really important scene setter. Module 2 is the writing skills module. That actually is an online course. I will introduce it. It's something that you will work through, and we do the writing course near the beginning of the diploma so that you can really start to think about writing and building on your writing skills. We continue to develop our writing skills throughout our lives. It's something that it doesn't stop, and it's always useful to sort of stop and have a look at our writing and maybe some habits and other opportunities to refresh what we do, or perhaps we don't feel confident about certain types of writing, and this is a really good and highly regarded module. Students give us very good feedback about this because, as I said earlier, this is at the core of what we do, being able to write well and appropriately and really setting an example. People will look to us to write clearly, concisely, accurately and appropriately. So this is your chance to have a look at your own writing practice and refresh it, and hopefully find ways to then immediately bring back some of that learning into your workplace and into your daily lives. It's about sense making, isn't it? We are there to really help bring clarity to stuff. I think that's one of our superpowers, is helping make the complex meaningful, because we understand not only the channels and our people's needs, but we can write well. So complex change programs. When one of you was it India talking about change programs, being able to communicate well what's going on and how at the heart of it we need to be able to write well. Module 3, understanding channels and employee groups. So this is really focusing on the channels that we have and how best to use them, what works best. And when we talk about employee groups, meaning our colleagues employees in our organisation. You'll also see in books, and the academics talk about internal audiences. Internal audiences, we're communicating with internal audiences. We like to use employee groups just to underline the fact that we're not just communicating at people. They're not just audiences that are passive receiving communication. Today, we need to recognise it's two-way. So that's why we use that term, employee groups. And I think, again, this is a really good opportunity to look in more detail at the employees around you and the groups that you communicate with. Again, students' feedback. This is a really helpful sort of opportunity. It gives you that knowledge, insight, a bit of research that you can do to again go back and say, well, I know that my colleagues, my engineering colleagues on the ground, feel strongly about this and would appreciate communicating in this way, because you're beginning to understand what their or you've got research and data to understand what their needs and preferences are. So this is the module where you'll look closely at the channels that you have in your organizations, think about the channels that are out there and what they're good for, and then the employee groups that you have in your organizations, whether you segment them by level, managers and employees, or engineering team and call center team, head office, how you choose to do that. But it's a good opportunity to sort of research, get to know your organization and its people even better. Module 4 is, and that I should say that the writing skills for the internal communication professional is a course that's been put together by Helen Deverell, who's a very skilled internal communication professional writer. And then Module 3 is delivered by Helen Chown, again, a very experienced internal comms professional who's worked in many organizations. Module 4, I deliver this one, and this is about communication planning. So it sounds like some of you are already supporting or involved in campaigns, or putting together campaigns, even plans. This will help. This module's aim is that you can learn the basic planning skills. You'll have an assignment. As I said, this is an assignment, a standalone assignment that will be marked. But by Module 4, you'll have a lot more experience and have done much more of the foundation diploma. So you'll be in a strong position to do this project. You'll be asked to do a basic communication plan, and it's about understanding, using the knowledge you have on your employees and your channels to put together a basic communication plan, and showing your understanding of the tools, channels, and people to meet business objectives. And I think, again, a really important tool to have in your toolkit, being able to put together a communication plan. So we'll be going through that in Module 4. And then finally, Module 5 is a little bit different. Module 5 is is about self-reflection. So we talked about, or Emily touched on, this is about reflection. This diploma is not just that we're delivering content to you. This is about reflecting on your learning and applying your learning throughout. So at the end of the diploma, your last module will be about thinking about your own knowledge and reflecting on your learning, and hopefully looking at how you've already started to apply your learning and what you've learnt, and then thinking about your career next steps, your development areas, and how you're going to use your learning to take your internal comms up a level. So it's for you. It's for you to reflect on your learning and your practice, but also consider what your next steps are and what you might need to develop further. And that's when you'll have another look more closely at the profession map and where you want to be, and identify perhaps any gaps that you think you have. as well as, perhaps also it's also about confirming what you do know and what you are good at. And I think, thinking back to that point about this is a practical diploma. This is about bringing your learning and bringing it into your workplace and into your daily practice. It's about making sure that all throughout the diploma, you're able to perhaps bring some nuggets or some insight, test it with your line manager, or start to apply some of the learning that you have. Thinking about the writing skills, you might pick up some techniques. It's doing that throughout. So building on what you're learning throughout the 6-7 months. We rush from one task to the next, and it is useful to step back and reflect on your professional journey. But throughout, applying your learning is key. So back to the 2 assignments that we will be formally will be marked, and which together will comprise the marks will comprise your overall mark and grade. So the first is 60% is your professional portfolio, and 40% is the project that I mentioned, which is the Module 4 communication plan. So that one, again, you'll be able to submit a optional draft of that once you've done Module 4, and then you will be refining that, hopefully with feedback if you do submit a draft, and submitting your summative assignment, your final assignment, and you will get that marked and graded. That's 40% of your overall mark. And then the rest of your mark is the 60% is the professional portfolio. And your professional portfolio is really the assignments from modules 1, 2, 3, and 5. So together, they make up your portfolio, and you will submit that at the very end of the foundation course. So the last cohort of students submitted theirs this Monday. So, 6 months' time, 7 months' time, you will be submitting modules 1, 2, 3, and 5 assignments. Again, you may well have looked at some of the dates, but we will, just as a reminder, these are your virtual learning sessions. So do put those in your calendars if you haven't already done so. So Module 1 on Monday with Liz Cochrane. Module 2 will be in March. So as you can see, it's sort of monthly with a bit of an extra month for you for Module 4, because that's your marked assignment. And then Module 5. So Module 5 in July. And then we will do a special webinar at the end where I will talk through how to bring together your assignments into your portfolio. That's in August. So we will go through, let me see, winter, spring, and summer through to autumn together. But as you can see, the first assignment that will be submitted for marking that project isn't going to be until much later in the year. So you'll have a lot more learning and experience behind you before you do that. And then what is useful is that you will get your marks, your grade, and lots of feedback, which will help you when it comes to putting together your portfolio at the very end of the course. I think the portfolio submission will be Monday, the 12th of October. So yes, well into autumn. Okay, so I'll stop there. Is there anything, are there any questions so far? We'll have time for questions at the end, but if there's anything, and also do interrupt me if there's anything along the way that I've missed or you want to ask. Okay.
Yeah, there's one from me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not on camera. It was just about, so the CPD, is that what it's called? So
yes.
Does that count towards the portfolio or the project? I'm not quite sure.
No, do you know what? That's if you like, that's a sort of I don't want to say separate IoIC thing. but it kind of is. So really, that is the IoIC has that available to you to use, as an internal communication professional, where you can record your learning and development. But what I'm talking about now is the diploma. And so yes, ultimately, when you finish this diploma, you'll have, I can't remember how many credits was it, 40. You can add those to your record that the IoIC has. But this is just the diploma. I don't think I've answered that very well, have I?
No, you have. It's separate. In a nutshell, it's separate. That's
yes, it is separate. It is separate. But yes, all of this is going to count towards CPD, continuing professional development credits. If that's something that your organisation does, and I suppose not every organisation is going to be will have a sort of formal continuing professional development route, but hopefully many will talk about it in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, this is separate.
Thank you.
Okay, so the learning opportunities. So I'm going to talk a bit about, what you can expect from us and what, we expect from you in order to really get the most out of this. So as you gathered, and we're on one, we have these virtual learning sessions, which are delivered by internal communication professionals. And each learning session has internal communication theory and concepts and best practice distilled for you. So, hi there. Question.
Liv, hi, it's just me. So we have one question in the chat.
Yeah.
From Jasmine. She said, please, can I ask how much time we should expect to be setting aside to complete Module 4 assignment and then the final portfolio assignment? I'm a planner, so it'd be great to block some time in my diary now.
Oh gosh, that is a difficult question. Now, I think we talk about the whole diploma being about 300 hours.
Yeah.
I think it's a really difficult question to answer. I'm afraid. I would say that I don't think I've got a number for you, but if you're able to block some time for the project, I that would be really beneficial. We touched a little bit when we had our informal gathering on Monday about, how to manage your diploma with the day job and with, your own private, commitments. And I think over the weeks, months, hopefully you'll get into a rhythm of what works for you. But if you are able to block out proper time rather than sort of attaching it at the end of the day, I think it would be really useful for the project, because you will want to really focus. And I think again, students will tell us it's gonna require some brain work and some focus and some peace. So without giving you hours, if you can look ahead and start to sort of block out some time to refine, that would be good. Now we do have, is it on Stella? Do we have dates for feedback coming back? Because
yes, I believe they should all be.
If they're on the canvas, because that's something that you could look at. So if you did submit an optional draft of Module 4, and I said most students will do that because it's helpful, and then me or one of the members of the teaching team, assessment team will do the feedback, and then after that you'll have time to refine it. I suppose it's after that's the time to sort of see if you can block out some time to really focus on refining your project. And the dates are there for when feedback will be given to you, because you'll want to go back, look through the feedback and refine it. And having some clear headspace and time allocated for that I'm sure would be really useful. Unless you're lucky and you've got you've got that all mapped out already and you've got some sort of weekly, I don't know, hours blocked out or agreed with your employer. But yeah, if I were you, perhaps that's what I would do after you get your feedback, is having some time after that to refine it. Is that helpful? Because I'm sorry I haven't got the actual hours, but I know, again, people will say it does take some time, but I think that putting together the draft will be the big work, and then you'll want to kind of really focus on refining that before you submit it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Liz.
Okay. Okay, so yes, each learning session, what we do, what the experts, what the professionals have done for you is really distilled the theory and the concepts. So that's been done, and that's what will be delivered during the session for you, as well as signposting to supporting materials, useful chapters in books, fact sheets, IoIC fact sheets, whatever else. Because as you gathered from Emily, there's a lot out there. You have access to a library, so resources are infinite. You'll need a bit of pointing in the right direction. Otherwise, it can be a bit overwhelming. So we will do that for you. They do that for you. So defined reading and activities as well. So the writing skills course, as I said, is self-directed learning. You will do that in your own time, which again can be really helpful for people when they've got busy day jobs and they can just kind of bite off bits to do in their own time. But the others, there will be a webinar or a teaching session. And then you have an opportunity to submit a draft, as I said, for feedback, for formative feedback. And then, supporting that ongoing process of reflection and application of your learning. So that's the sort of learning opportunities. And I would say on the reflection as well, as hopefully along the way, as you're learning, as you're reading some more on best practice, on the theory, you'll think about what you're doing now, and there'll be plenty that you're doing that, or your organization is doing, your IC team, if you have one, is doing, that you'll think, oh, that sounds like that would be best practice. That sounds really like we are on target, we're doing the right thing, or we're doing what is in line with what the experts say. And others you might think, oh, could we do something differently? Are there areas where we could introduce something new? Are we missing a trick here? So again, it'll work. It works both ways. It may be that it reinforces what you're doing well. Your instincts were right, or your team are doing some really good, strong internal communications. But also, are there areas we could do better? And again, learning from your colleagues as well, picking their brains, finding out how they reach the unconnected parts of their organisations, or how they've made Viva Engage work really well in their organisations. You'll be able to kind of learn from each other. So this is thinking about, what we hope from you, we expect from you is your presence as well. Really good to see you. I think it's really good to see you, and for you to have an opportunity to talk to each other, see each other, be with each other, ask questions, and challenge and reflect. Do your reading and research. There aren't really shortcuts on that. It's important to if you can't attend the teaching session, and you're listening to it, is give yourself that time to absorb and reflect, but also go to some of the recommended reading to really kind of understand the different concepts, really think through the different theories about whether it's writing techniques or understanding employee groups, the right approaches to communicating. So reflect on that learning, and how it and how you feel it reflects on your own practice, or your team's practice, your organization's internal communication practice. Do use the resources that we talked about. Emily's covered with you. There's obviously the extensive Solent library. You can go find, it's vast. However, go to the resources that are useful for you. Go to the ones that we recommend as well. Don't get you may find yourself going down rabbit holes, but we guide you to some of the useful chapters or the useful thinking. I suppose be hungry, be inquisitive. Do have a look at the resources. Do go to some of the IoIC has loads, as you gathered. So if you are thinking about, for argument's sake, the hard to reach colleagues, unconnected colleagues, what's in the IoIC treasure trove, knowledge hub, as well as some of the academic theory and pointers that we will have for you. And think critically. So if you want to be able to challenge the status quo in your organization, think critically about what it is you need. You need to be able to create sort of robust arguments for change, don't you? You need to be in a position where you can suggest different ways of doing things based on what is considered best practice, based on what the professionals are saying it works, on what established theory is telling us. So think about that as you go through the study, your study. So back to this reflective learning practice as well. So this is Kolb's learning cycle. It's a way of working and thinking that helps continue to challenge and reflect on what we're doing and what we might do differently or better. And really, if you're not already doing so, and you may well be, it should be just part of how we operate. So looking a bit more at this process of reflection. So this cycle starts at the top with, we have a concrete experience, something happens, something takes place, an event, and perhaps there's positive or negative feedback, both. And we reflect on that. What went well, how could I build on that success, what didn't work so well and why, and then moving around to abstract conceptualization, where can we go from here? So perhaps it didn't go so well because we needed more support from stakeholders, or I needed more data, or we didn't involve leaders early enough. And then moving around, so what am I going to do differently? So what's my plan B for next time? I think I'm going to test this in the workplace first. I'm going to gather data and I'm going to get leadership buy-in early. And so then in the experiment, so that's the sort of active experimentation where you're thinking through how you might do things differently, better, be even more effective. And then back to concrete experience, the event or the occasion, the thing happens again, and you're applying your learning, your thinking, your new approach, your plan B, and then it continues. So it's a sort of continuous cycle of reflection, looking at what might be done differently, reflecting on the pros and cons, and then applying that again. So hopefully continuing to learn and improve and be even more effective. So that's the kind of approach we're looking at, and also something, it's a mindset, something that probably becomes instinctive and can be part of the way we work. As I said, if you're not already doing it already, so that's sort of reflective learning, and really. Just to think a little bit more about this is a little exercise for you, only just a short one, just for a few minutes. If I give you a few minutes just to think about a significant event in your communication life, think about what happened and what went well and what didn't go so well, and what might have been the reasons for that, and then what you learned from that and how you can apply that learning in the future. Can I give you just a few minutes to think of an example, and I'll come back and ask for volunteers to share that with the group. So think of a communication event that happened, what happened, what went well, not so well, what were the reasons for it going well or not so well? What have you learned from that? What did you learn from that? And what did you apply next time round, or what will you apply next time, having thought through the learning and what might be done differently? Okay, I'll give you a few minutes.
I can go first.
Excellent.
So I'll just give you an example of the new division that I say new, but it's been a year now. I've been with the technical side of the business. And when I came here, they were going through a major ERP transformation. And we were 1.5 years in the transformation when I was onboarded for communication for the project. So instantly, change management was the first thing that I saw was not there. Change communication and management. I feel like I was dragged in for damage control. And I was also reactive. That was my mistake. Like 1 year down the lane, I can see it. I should have onboarded at the point of the change curve that they were at, instead of going like, oh, this is how it should have been. And, just going on now and not realizing, number one, I had never worked, which is also why I messaged. I had never worked with on-ground staff this way. I had never worked with mechanics and engineers and people who didn't have constant access to screens. So, and the channels within my business are very digital. And sensitivity, IT, all of this. And I think I learned on the go, and hate to say this, lacked research before just jumping in and trying to manage everything, one person for 5,000 people, just trying my best. Oh, Teams groups and email chains and this and that, instead of just going on the ground and sitting with them myself. Like I was so dependent on other people. I tried various things, and I think it was 7 months in my job where I realized we were all part of the depression phase of change. And then that's when my strategic insight clicked that, okay, give up on what you think what should have been, and let's just go with the flow. It did, and I didn't have any experience with change management. Like that was new for me. So, and I had to learn that, and that's when I found value in both of these, like change management, change communication, internal comms goes hand in hand, and how like I was so privileged to be sitting in the headquarters and having everything on email and having my app pop up and having access to everything. How did no one think about the other side of the business? 3 to 6,000 employees is not a small thing who are taking care of safety and compliance and all of this, and they're so technical in the way they think. So that was one learning thing, like immediately that I can think of.
Yeah, oh, that's really good. Well, in fact, you've touched on many learnings, and how difficult to be launched straight into that without the experience, without the understanding. And as you say, you do things on the fly, you wing it, but then very bold
Panic
to sort of
mode.
step back. But to step back and go, this is where we're at, and what do we do next time? No, that's a really good example. And yeah,
I think I was in denial with them. I was in denial of where they are. So that was a huge thing. And then coming from a creative background with product and customer experience, and then coming to the technical side of the business, I thank God for ChatGPT that I could make documentation for myself and do the research in research just for myself, because these are, again, ERP transformation in aviation are not that wildly popular. Like nobody would be reading on them except the people in aviation.
Yes.
Right. So there was no any concept of internal comms that I had learned in 2 years went out of the window for me.
Yes.
And that's when I've been grasping all the information that I can to understand how a 360 approach would be. So I know how to do it from a customer experience and employee experience side, right? How employee needs to know before the market knows, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, how to build that. And now it's a very different league, and I still feel that's why I call it new, because I'm still learning.
Yes.
I'm still learning on the go about how things are over here.
Yes, no, that sounds that's a really rich example actually, and that would be quite terrifying actually thrown into that when, as you say, there are thousands of colleagues who need to be engaged in this and don't understand their part and haven't got the channels that access that they can be part of. A really good one. Thank you for that. Is it Anusha or Anusha?
Yes, it's Anusha. I realize I'm the only one from Middle East here, so open invite to anyone who wants to visit as well.
Oh,
you guys, the sun is over here.
I'm there.
There we go.
Brilliant. Thank you, Anusha. And has anybody else got an example they'd like to share as well?
I've got one I don't mind sharing. Oh,
no, you carry on, Lily.
I was just going to talk about stakeholder management. So I became seconded into this role last March. Was at a meeting with all of kind of like our higher up stakeholders, and one of them approached me and was asking for a newsletter to be published regularly. We did the first kind of 2 editions, and then the third one came around and he just kind of disappeared. I ended up chasing, and I was like, do you want me to do this? Do you still need me like to be a part of this? And he just wasn't getting back to me. So obviously I needed to make sure that the relationship that I had with him stayed. So I reached out to my manager and just explained kind of like what the situation was, and he reminded me that I'm not here to kind of chase him. My position is to support in the communications rather than to be the person that's chasing him to get it out. He should want to get it out, and I should be here to support him. So it taught me that I actually needed to be more kind of clear with the structure of kind of my role, who I am, because it was new to the side of the business. So he probably didn't have a major understanding of what it was that I was here to do. But yeah, it kind of taught me that I needed to be very clear with who I am, what my position is, what I can support with, and what I can't really support with. So it was kind of a massive learning curve for stakeholder management for me. But yeah, that third edition's still not gone out. It's one of those things, isn't it?
Well,
it's on him. It's not my problem. It's his voice that needed to be heard.
Maybe it wasn't the right thing to do if it wasn't so urgent. It's one of those knee jerk. You wonder, don't you? And you need to be in a position to be able to sort of push back and ask those questions. But I think that's a really good point, is being clear on your role. And again, we'll cover that as well, because many of you come from different parts of the business as well, and internal comms can stretch to so many things. You organize the Christmas party to you're leading on a change program, so being clear on what you can do and what you can't do. Have others come across that same problem? I certainly did in my career, being really clear about where you can help, and others, like other times, pushing it back to the business.
Yeah, I think there's a high expectation on the position as comms and engagement. They just see it as you can just do everything. But
do a bit of everything. Yes,
I can't. I don't have the capacity to do that.
No, quite. No, that's a good example. Anybody else? Thanks for that, Lily. Thank you. Anybody else want to share one?
I think I've got a good one, hopefully.
Go.
It was quite early on in my change of career from compliance into internal comms, and the company I was with, we were owned by a different company for about 5 years, and we were being sold to a new company, and there was a lot of uncertainty of like job roles, redundancies, the direction of the business, and my role as internal comms was to boost morale, because morale was really low, but we didn't have any updates. We weren't allowed to share some information at that point in time. So in my naivety, I was arranging pizzas for the office, inspirational quote cards like Haribo on everyone's desk. And it completely fell short. The feedback that I had was, we don't give a crap about all of this stuff. We want to know if we've got a job. I was trying, I think I was trying to sort of fluff out the situation. And it really taught me very early on that people don't care about that. People care about clear communication, even if it's a communication to say that we have nothing to communicate, or just something a little bit reassuring that, as soon as we know, you will let you guys know. That was what was really important. So I think, I went in and I was like, this is going to be great. People love pizza, people love sweets, and an inspirational quote that's going to make everyone feel, really motivated. Absolutely not. And that, was a very hard lesson because, yeah, like the feedback was harsh, it was brutal, and it just made me realize very, very early on, just open, honest, transparent communication is key. So yeah, that was a good experience for me.
Hard lesson, but yeah, no, that's a good one. That is a good one, isn't it? It's the if I'm worried about my job, I really can't be thinking about pizza. Yeah, I want to know whether but yes, it's tough. It's tough to get it right, and change
and
change is tough.
I think because I was new in the role as well, I didn't feel confident enough to push back to, my stakeholders, my management, upper management, to say that this stuff is going to fall short. And what I think we should do is, maybe have an open forum, a Q&A, a fireside chat, or, just something just to say that we don't have any updates to share at the moment, but blah, blah, blah. But it was very much, they just wanted to sort of ignore what was going on. And they kind of pushed on me that if we can't communicate anything, don't communicate anything. Whereas now, I very much push for that. Whereas, like, if we don't have an update, we just need to let them know we don't have an update, because people feel that you're hiding things if you're not being transparent. So.
Yes, and when there's a gap, then gossip and worry sets in.
Exactly.
And that can impact productivity, can't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really, really good. Well, you learn the hard way, but and again, you'll have the evidence and the insight for next time.
Exactly.
And that's what you need, isn't it? To be able to kind of be that advisor and to be able to push back, you need to have the confidence that you've got the evidence, the data, the feedback behind you, and theory as well. Actually, exactly. That's what change management practice tells us. But sometimes, like with Anusha, it's you're thrown into it. You have to sort of swim.
Winging it.
Winging it. Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Steph. That's another really, really good one. So that's sort of learning and then applying and then bringing that sort of your thinking and reflection to the next time. Thank you for that. That was really good. So I leave you with this quote on reflective learning. Critical reflection. So this is from a little book, again available online, but I've got the hard copy. You can see my yellow stickies. It's really accessible. It's kind of easy to read, and it talks about critical reflective writing, which is what we're looking for as well. That sort of critical reflection when it comes to you doing your assignments. And again, we'll talk more about writing on Friday. But why reflect? So reflection in a program of study or professional context is a purposeful activity. Purposeful reflection can change how we think about things, what we do, how we do it, and can lead to specific changes in planning for what we do next. And I think you've given examples of how you are doing that already. And that's what we do in our day job. It's a kind of mindset. And you will be applying that to your writing and your assignments. And it's really then that you get the most out of your study as well when you do this. So simple but important principle. Now, writing your assignments. So when it comes to writing your assignments, you have a handbook, you have the assignment briefs all available on Canvas. Do go to those. The handbook has the overview, the course structure, the modules and the timings and so on. And then you've got the course schedule for all the sessions. I should have mentioned that we have drop-in sessions in between. So we'll do a teaching session, then a couple of weeks later, we'll have an optional drop-in session, not recorded, informal, where you can come and ask any questions about that particular assignment, or ask questions about internal comms. This is these drop-in sessions have been really useful discussions, but we really like to hear from you. It's good to kind of especially if you've got questions, or you've got a work problem you'd like to kind of bring to the discussion, ask others about. Do use those drop-in sessions to do that. So they're not recorded, they're informal, and you can kind of drop in and drop out. So they're an hour, but people may only have half an hour and can come and then go. So that's those happen in between. So you'll have your teaching session, a couple of weeks later you'll have a drop-in session you can come to, and those are all on Canvas. Your assignment briefs, so the assignment that I said, each module will have an assignment, they are all available. So you'll have your assignment briefs for the project, module 4, and then for the other modules 1, 2, 3, and 5. And then also, as well as your assignment brief, which tells you what it is you need to cover in your assignment, and we will go over that again at each module, at the beginning of each module, so you'll have that fresh in your mind. On top of that, have a look at the assessment criteria closer to the time when you start to do your assignment, because that's how you're going to be marked. So important to have a look at those assessment criteria to understand what the examiner will be looking for. Really clearly set out so you know what it is you need to do within your assignment, and it tell you what grade as well. So that's really useful. So you have your assignment brief, which tells you what it is you need to do in your assignment, and then your assessment criteria will be what the examiner will be looking for, what it is you need to cover, what you need to show in your assignment. And then we also have guidelines on format and presentation. So again, they're guidelines, but there are some things that you will need to make sure you include, and that's all in the on Canvas and available to you. But yeah, we'll make sure at the launch of every module, I'll make sure that we cover what it is you're going to need to do in your assignment. So we will come back to that. There's quite a lot to absorb, but don't worry, as long as you kind of know where to go to get this information. And Canvas is your resource library, really. And as Emily said, I think going back to modules, isn't it, is a sort of neat way of finding out what it is that's required at each stage. And we release, or rather Stella will sort of release the information as we go through the diploma, so that you'll be given access to what you need at the right time. So there's a kind of rhythm and a process through the weeks and months. Okay, so I'll cover a little bit about academic writing, but on Friday we'll have a whole session on academic writing, which is a new session that we introduced last for the last cohort, which students have said has been really helpful, because some of you will have done some academic writing, some of you may not have done it, or you did do it a long time ago and need a refresher. But it's a skill, it's a practice that you can learn. So don't worry if you're feeling nervous or rusty. It's something that you will learn over the course of the foundation diploma course. It's really about using the appropriate style and tone, and it just needs to be clear, accurate, concise, professional. So nothing you don't know about already. But importantly, it's about backing up what you say with evidence and or theory. So academic writing is not just opinion, or it's about putting forward your views, but having the evidence to back up those views. So it's about being clear and concise, as I said, being grammatically correct, but it's not about using esoteric words, about being overcomplicated. Quite the opposite. Really good writing, really good academic writing is nice and clear, gets the point across. But don't. But it also needs to be engaging. So don't feel that academic writing should be sort of dry and dull. It just needs to be clear. You need to be able to just get your argument across. You need to back up what you say with evidence and theory, which is what we will be looking at when we do each of the teaching sessions, and also what you will be looking at in your organisation, digging out theory and data and research that you may have to back up your points. But we will go into that in much more detail on Friday. I think the other thing to say is that you will be needing to reference your sources in a formal way using the Harvard referencing system. So, and we have lots of information about that. And again, something that if you haven't done it already, if you haven't used the Harvard referencing system before, and I hadn't when I did the masters, you can learn it, and by the end of it, it'll be fine. But it's a way of making sure you're clear about what your sources are, and it's just a consistent way of referring to your sources. And there's lots of information on Canvas that we will, make available to you as well in due course. Now, back to that question about how many hours and so on. So managing your time, I think, as you can see, there's lots of information and resources out there. There's a library of resources. There's the IoIC resources. I would say, read strategically, find what's useful to you for the assignment and also your day job. The books that we have often have really useful summaries, that the books that we recommend. So Fitzpatrick has chapters, very clear chapters, which explain what each chapter covers, and at the end has a summary. Use those to find what you need to do the assignment, so you don't get overwhelmed or distracted, which is quite easy to do because there's lots of really juicy information out there, interesting case studies, whatever. We want you to enjoy it, but yeah, you need to focus on getting the theory that you need to do the assignment. I would say also, and it was a reminder from the last cohort as well, is make a point of, if you read a chapter and find some really interesting insight, make a point of having a spreadsheet or just a document where you just make a note of the particular point you found, from what book, on what page, because you may want to go back to that later. You'll be building your learning and your insight, and you may think, I learned something really interesting about the unconnected, or about communicating with leaders, and then you've actually got a note of where you read that, and you can go and quickly draw on that later on. So yeah, keep a note of the interesting stuff that you read, make a note of the points, the reference, the page number, or the podcast, or whatever it is that you've come across. So yes, there's academic resources. There's also the IoIC resources. You've got lots to draw on. And again, I said we'll come to this again, but when it comes to planning your assignment, I'll be suggesting you go to the brief, and the brief for the assignment will have various points you need to cover. And that's really a really useful framework to use when it comes to writing your assignment and, breaking it down, doing one section at a time, one bit at a time. Because, yeah, you'll have a lot to cover, but chunking it up and breaking it down might be the best way to cover, a big assignment. And yeah, managing your time, I think everybody's different, and you may find you work better at certain times of the day, or you'll have some time allocated through work to do your study. Find what works for you. It may not be at the end of the day, it may be at the weekend, it may be that you really need to block out a morning, whatever it is that will work for you, because you will need to devote some time and have the energy as well, and the brain the brain time to focus on some of this too. So and then think about workload peaks and troughs. I know in internal comms there's always a million things to do. We're in demand. There are busy times. You'll have your holidays. You'll have other things. There'll be the unexpected. It'll happen. So illness or whatever. See if you can work around that and sort of plot these dates, sessions in your calendars, and check for workload sort of clashes. Once you've started to look at the calendar of dates ahead of you. And I would say sort of tips really is do log into Canvas. Look out for Stella's notes on a Friday. She's really good at prompting all of us about what's coming up, deadlines. Use your network, use each other. Do contribute to, if you've got a question, go to there's a discussion area on Canvas, ask there, and one of your fellow students may answer, or maybe I can answer or Stella can answer, but do share, because what your question may well be exactly what somebody else wants to ask as well. And I would also say, as well as gathering your evidence, make sure bring back what you're learning to your workplace. Share some insight with your line manager. Share what you're learning. Hopefully some juicy tips, or from colleagues. Bring that back to your day job as well. And the other thing is, gathering evidence. So make sure you, or rather, if you can, think about the research that you may have available to you already, the employee engagement survey, HR data, maybe the internal comms team already done surveys and research, or you've got online data that you can access. Think about those things, because you will find them invaluable as you go along. Having that internal organizational data to support some of the things you're going to, or some of the communication approaches perhaps that you will propose, will be really useful to you. And we will talk about research later on in the diploma, but thinking about what internal organizational evidence you might be able to get your hands on is worth thinking about now. So familiarize yourself with Canvas, make sure your dates are in the calendar, have a look around the IoIC website. I mean, Emily's already kind of given you a kind of overview, and come to the academic writing webinar on Friday. If you can't, it will be recorded, but I would really love to see you all on Friday. We'll go through academic writing a little bit more detail, and you can ask lots of questions then, if you'd like. On Monday, do join the first module teaching session, so the Understanding Internal Comms session with Liz Cochrane. Okay, I think that's all from me. So, sorry, we're a couple of minutes after 12, aren't we? So, does anybody have any questions before we go? Hi,
Liz. It was just a quick one. So I did have a question about Canvas and Solent and the IoIC website, okay? Because they're going to be your main go-tos. So it can get a little bit confusing with all three of them and knowing which one to go to for what. So what I'm going to do is just post something in the chat. What I would suggest is maybe copy and paste this, put it on a Word document, put it on a sticky note, because these links are going to be really important in order to obviously get onto the websites that you need. With regards to Solent, they should have been in contact with your pre-enrollment. Once everything is done on their side, they will be in contact with your Solent email address and steps to log in and create a password. I've also popped in the email at solent.ac.uk, because they'll give you a username, but sometimes the website will request just the username, and sometimes it will need the username with the @Solent at the end of it, okay, as an email address. With regards to IoIC, this, again, you would have been contacted by membership. So membership will set up your memberships, your student memberships, and that email will talk you through the ways to access and log into IoIC. That is where all of the fact sheets, the guides, and resources will be. And then lastly, Canvas, which is your main learning hub. I think I can see on my side that all of you are logged in now. So obviously any problems with that one, just shoot me an email, but you should all have received the invite for that. Does that help to...
I think you're right. Yeah, I realise that we cover so much, but Canvas really is where the diploma stuff is. And from there, we signpost, don't we? We signpost to other resources and sources like the library, like and the reading list and so on. But Canvas is where you'll read about the modules and there's the discussion area and so on. So focus on that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, with the reading list, any books that are recommended, they can usually be accessed on Solve. So that's why obviously we've got the logins, but you're right, Canvas is the home.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I don't have to put my hand up, so I'm just going to say, how much do we need, the email address that we have, and there's like an email portal, like an Outlook. My company seemed to have blocked that since I first logged on because I was able to use it and now I'm not. How important is that, like logging into that platform? And obviously we've got the other three, but the email itself, like I don't want to miss anything that gets sent to that email, my student email.
Right, I'm assuming that's your Solent one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can log in on my phone. It's not a problem. Or my iPad. I can look on somewhere else. I was just wondering, like, do things go there? I don't want to miss anything.
So notifications can go there, but obviously all set up on Canvas, so it shouldn't. What I would suggest is just keep it on your phone, keep an eye on it, but there shouldn't really be too much going there. It's more if we go into deferrals or resits that Solent email may be involved.
Cool, thank you.
Any other questions? No, if anything does come up in the next couple of days or weeks, whatever, just send me an email. Okay.
And we can talk some more on Friday if there's anything else that's burning before our Friday session as well. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Sorry to run over a little bit. Appreciate there's a lot in the induction for you to absorb, but hopefully give you some time to have a look at it all and at least get your bearings. But really looking forward to the next few months and looking forward to seeing you hopefully on Friday as well. So bye, everyone.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Bye.